By now you're all experts as far as the structure of a literary essay is concerned. What we're going to focus on for this is the story Job by Dan Preston. We're going to look at how to write an introduction. We're going to obviously give examples of body paragraphs. But remember, with the body point, you've always got to focus on three things. The first one is making a point. From there, you give examples. And then, of course, you have to explain the examples. If you explain and you relate to author's purpose or audience's response, you're more than likely to get into the merit or excellence category. Here is an example of a typical literary essay question that you'll find in NCEA Level 1 exam. Of course, you know the word describe is lower level. Don't spend too long on describing. What you've got to focus on is explain. And one of the things that I always say to students is keep going back to that particular part of the question and re-examining it. In this case, why the character helped you to understand an idea in the text, and of course idea means theme. So what was it about the character and maybe what they did that helped you understand an idea? We've been focusing on the particular theme of adversity for Job, but it could just as easily be the theme of family relationships or the theme of friendship that Job has with Luke that you could look at. One of the challenging areas of literary essay writing is writing the introduction. If you go into an exam with the following in mind, it'll make it a lot easier. Always remember to name the story and the author, or the novel and the author, or the film and the director. Make sure that you underline the name of the story or the text. Read the question carefully and pick out those key words and what they are. Then focus on what you're going to cover in the body paragraphs of your essay. And if you can, give ideas of where your essay is heading. On the last slide, I talked about keywords. Well, here are the keywords for the question that you're focusing on today. Character. Enjoyed reading about. And that character may be Job, or it may be Job's mum. Those are the best two, I think. Because, of course, here it says at least. And so you can do more than one character. Then, the keywords that are underlined under the explain are character or individual, again character, helped you understand an idea. Those are the keywords that you need to have in your introduction and throughout the essay and the body paragraphs. What I've done here is I've given you a scaffold to work from. If you find introductions really difficult to complete, try to fill in the gaps here, and then you'll end up with your own introduction. I hope by now you've written your own introduction, but what I've done in this particular activity is I've shown you or written exemplars for you to look at and to compare to what you yourself have done. So here's my introduction. I hope it helps you realise that you can write a really good one by using keywords such as characters, enjoyable to read about, help the reader to understand the idea, there's the word idea, and we are focusing on overcoming adversity. So I've used the keywords in my introduction. I've referred to the characters such as Job's mum and Job, who I'm going to be focusing on throughout the rest of my essay. Just check your own introduction to see if you've used keywords. When writing body paragraphs, you've all been exposed while at Orewa College to Peel, making a point, giving an explanation, giving example or examples, making a link to the next body paragraph. Okay, so what is point? A point is also called a topic sentence, and this is one area that students often let themselves down in. What you've got to make sure is that your first sentence of a body paragraph is a very strong one and lets us know what you are going to be focusing on. Obviously, the words you use must connect to the question. Then you go on to examples and explanations. These can be in any order. In fact, they can even be mixed up. When giving an example, for Job, obviously that would be a quote, try to integrate it into what you're trying to say so it becomes part of the sentence. What I've also found is that students who use a number of quotes get better marks than students who don't. When linking to the next paragraph, try to find linking words like similarly, however, besides, in contrast. The list goes on. What these words will do was lead you in to another body paragraph opening with a new point, which possibly links back to the previous one. Try this. It's no big deal if you can't make a successful link. You can still get a really good mark for your essay. There's an awful lot to think about when writing a body paragraph. This is my first body paragraph. The first thing that I did was had the question right by me when I was writing this body paragraph. I made sure that I used the key words in this paragraph. See if you can find them. Remember, we've got character, you enjoyed reading about, and for the second part, the explain part of the question, you had to focus on understanding an idea. And of course my idea was adversity. Okay, see if you can spot my point that I made. It's the first sentence. I used the key word, adversity. Job faced adversity at school when put down by teachers who asked him questions and got the wrong answer in reply. Now obviously this paragraph is all about adversity he faced at school. Then from that particular point I extended and said what I felt. I enjoyed reading Job's reply. Here I'm giving an example and I'm integrating the words from the story here and here into my example. What I'm also doing is I'm always referring back to purpose and I'm looking at the author. One of the things that I've said to students is always try and put the author's name into body paragraphs at least once if you can. That will lead you to maybe to higher level thinking. And here I've put the words Dan Preston. The writer Dan Preston was making a point. He is trying to show something, that people are not always how they seem on the surface. So that is a high level, if you like, a high level point that can lead to excellence. There's one other high level point in this paragraph. Perhaps you'd like to pause and see if you can find that now. Did you find it? What it is right down the bottom here, and that is the last sentence, leading on from the previous one. This shows there are many ways to overcome adversity, one of them being having friends as well as enemies. This looks beyond the text. It looks at the students who are studying Job and realizing that there may be enemies in life, but if you've got friends, things are worth facing up to. It makes life worth living. Friends are very, very important. That was my first body paragraph. Okay, this is body paragraph 2. I want you to pause and see if you can spot the link. Did you find it? Well, it's right at the beginning, obviously. Of course, body paragraph 1 was about Job facing adversity at school, and so that's how I started body paragraph 2. It was not only at school where Job faced and overcame adversity, but also at home. And so in that sentence, of course, that is my point, my topic sentence for paragraph 2, I show where I'm going. I'm going to talk about Job facing adversity at home. Now, remember, we're looking at important characters and how they are involved in this theme of adversity. Job faces adversity, but his mother is the one that dishes it out, and his mother's boyfriend. So, I'm responding. Here another character I enjoyed reading about was introduced, namely Job's mother. So she is going to form part of my information in this body paragraph. Firstly, she's described, and I picked out one of my favourite quotes, described as a sinister, dangerously overinflated, bouncy castle. This wonderful metaphor really brings an image to my mind. Not only that, but I also picked out words that I could outline. Words like sinister and dangerously have very strong negative connotations, used effectively by Dan Preston. So I give examples and I explain a lot about the adversity that Job faces from his mother through the description of her. High-level thinking and detailed analysis is what you really must work on to get into the excellence category, and I think I've done it quite well here. I hope that you can include this sort of detail when you're writing your own body paragraphs. This is my third body paragraph. You know, I noticed something on reading this first sentence. It's not really a very good first sentence because it doesn't contain the point. The point being that Job faces adversity in body paragraphs 1 and 2, but in body paragraph 3, he overcomes adversity. I don't actually say that until a little bit later. So if I rewrote this, I would talk about overcoming adversity. In this first sentence. Anyway, let's move on. Firstly, a couple of things about this paragraph. He also, with a natural instinct, found a briefcase. Look at how I've used words from the story and integrated them into my essay. Here's another one. I've put in the sentence or sentences, and then I've just continued writing. So try to bring quotes in the best way you possibly can. Here is where I start talking about overcoming adversity, which is the key point that I'm trying to make in this paragraph. What I've also done is I've used key words, of course, the fact that Job is enjoyable to read about because this is a character theme essay, and key words like enjoyable to read about are ones that we needed to keep coming back to, so I've tried to do that in each of my body paragraphs. I've also shown how he overcomes adversity by thinking very, very early on when he's up in the ceiling with Luke about what he's going to do. I've also focused, of course, on the ending, where we have that wonderful line, job done, which is a pun that ends the story, playing on the name of Job and the fact that he's actually overcome the adversity he faces at school by going to the Gold Coast and at home by overcoming his mother and his mother's scummy boyfriend. Read this information about conclusion. Remember that your literary essay must have a conclusion, otherwise it will get not achieved.